Hello, and welcome to From the Newsroom. From the Newsroom is a weekly news update brought to you by the Southeast Arrow. Downtown Cape was filled with uncertainty this week as a tornado swept through the area. In our first story, we take a closer look at the damages it left behind, specifically at the Encore restaurant. We have Beto Vaca Diez with more.
On Wednesday, April 2nd, Cape Girardeau and the surrounding region was hit by an EF1 tornado, causing damage to local businesses and residential areas. According to the National Weather Service, the tornado was around 8 miles long and had winds that peaked at 100 miles per hour. One of the businesses that was affected was Encore Pizza in downtown Cape, which had the roof blown off during the tornado, causing water damage to the loft on the top level and the business itself. Business owner Cody Kelly stated the damage caused by the tornado is the worst that he has ever seen in his 11 years as a business owner.
This is definitely the biggest hit I've ever taken. You know, I've caught things on fire, and you know that bad things have happened, but this is rough.
Kelly talked about the damage, saying that the oven, the back room, and the bathroom area in Encore is completely destroyed.
This is where the real damage happened. So when the roof came off, that's when the tile started to break, and then the roof caved in back here and back there. The bathroom is destroyed. So all the tiles just started popping. And then the second layer of drywall had to be pulled out. And then upstairs, like I said, it's completely destroyed.
Kelly mentioned that despite the damage and the temporary loss of his business, he is uplifted by both the community and his team of business employees around him.
Oh yeah, man. Everybody's been really, really cooperative and have come together as a community. It's been really great to see all the people around you whenever these kind of things happen. But
for more updates on local news, head to southeastarrow.com. For From the Newsroom, I'm Beto Vaca Diez. Back to you, Adriana.
Thanks, Beto. Now, we have a story that could have major implications for our education system. Reporter Lily Niebrugge has more on the Department of Education's potential dismantling and what it means for the community.
President Donald Trump signed an executive order to begin the elimination of the Federal Department of Education and give most of its authority to the states on March 20th. In a video produced by the White House, President Trump credited the reason behind the elimination to be the amount of money the United States spends on education in comparison to other countries and its global ranking in terms of education. He also claimed that some of the department's functions, such as Pell Grants, Title I funding, and resources for children with disabilities would be protected. CNET reported that other government services, such as free application for federal student aid or FAFSA, will likely fall to the Department of Treasury or the Internal Revenue Service. Turning the power to the states may result in less funding for colleges. Professor of Political Science, Dr. Jeremy Walling, elaborates on how eliminating the Department of Education could affect the university funding.
For higher ed, a university like Southeast Missouri State, the issue is that we generate our revenue in a couple of ways. One of the key ways is tuition and fees, and the other way is we get an allocation from the state. And so if the state feels a pinch from the federal government and they have to find ways to kind of make up revenue, that's where we could kind of start to feel some of that. Where if I don't just mean for education, but just in general, like as the federal government is shedding responsibilities and states have to pick that up, if they have to pick up certain things that they relied on the feds for, then higher ed is something that could be and traditionally is cut in those kind of trying budget times.
Additionally, Walling believes the state gaining more responsibilities for educational funding could cause an increase in tuition and fees for students. According to a report by The Guardian, in 2024, the enrollment rate for an 18-year-old freshman was down by 5%. If tuition increases, many potential students may feel college is not worth the cost and enrollment may continue to decrease further. According to CBS News, for the Department of Education to be completely eliminated, 60 members of the Senate must vote in favor of shutting it down. However, only 53 senators are Republican, so the future of the department remains unknown. For From the Newsroom, I'm Lily Niebrugge. Back to you, Adriana.
Meanwhile, another major event is taking place on campus. A record-breaking giving campaign that brought alumni together for a powerful cause. For that story, we turn to Sarah Lerch.
I'm standing in front of the Wecking Alumni Center, home of the SEMO Alumni Association. On March 20th, SEMO's Alumni Association hosted their most successful SEMO Giving Day yet, surpassing their goal by $25,000.
Annual Fund Coordinator Kristen Seabaugh explains the reasons behind SEMO's Giving Day and the financial goals surrounding the event.
But it is our annual call out to alumni and friend of the university to rally together to support SEMO. During our sesquicentennial year, we raised, our goal was $150,000 for 150 years, but we ended up raising, I think, over $300,000 that year, or pretty close to it. We're just keep bumping that goal up because we're getting closer and closer to it, or we keep meeting that goal, and so we're just kind of like pushing that boundary to see how far we can go and how much money we can raise.
Seabaugh also added that the distribution of the funding isn't chosen at random and that it's based on a set of guidelines.
So we kind of went along with the Transforming Lives campaign, and so even though it's not directly related to it, it kind of, so we use that as kind of a guide for setting up this Giving Day page.
The 4 categories that receive the funding raised are athletics, academics, technology, and facilities.
One of the things that's happening is we have a group of jazz students that are going to New Orleans in a couple weeks. There's also some facility things that are happening. So the nursing program is getting some new things. The Center for Speech and Hearing is getting some things with their facilities. The military and veteran services are doing some office renovations and stuff like that. So it's not just facilities and athletics and that kind of stuff, like their student trips that they're able to go on, and then there's also other, scholarships is a huge thing that we support too. So
while next year's Giving Day goal hasn't been set, Seabaugh says they still plan to raise the bar and aim to break this year's record. Back to you, Adriana.
That's it for this week's episode. I'm your host, Ariana Negron. See you next week, Cape Girardeau,